letting you all know that the opinions and the perspectives of our guest speakers don't always reflect those of XR Women officially. We do want to hear from people, and also keep in mind that whatever pictures, whatever you say, or an image of your avatar, with possibly with your name above it, could appear on social media because we may be taking photos here or doing recordings, and that recordings could potentially include your voice. So we want you to be aware of that. And again, please mute if you're not speaking. And, you know, I talked about this before, but just to add to that, say that XR Women believes that technology has the potential to lead peaceful collaboration and empathy for all of humanity. So we really hope you will engage with us. If you're not already on our Slack, please contact one of us with the crown next to our name, because we are hosts, and we can send you an invite to join. We're on a social at XR Women Global. We have a LinkedIn page, and we also have a merch shop where you can get XR Women shirts. And if you look where I'm pointing, way back in the room there is a blue button, and that will open that up in your browser, whether you're in your headset or on your computer, and you can have a look at what's there, and maybe save the link for later. And we love to have the support. Okay.
And it's cool swag.
It is cool swag. Yes, absolutely. We're really grateful to Engage for hosting us here. I love their platform, and we've been having a lot of fun in this environment. We also have our XR Women Museum and Gallery on the Frame VR platform. It's framevr.io/XR Women Museum. And by the way, if you open up your tablet, you can see this share screen closer if there's anything that you want to look at more closely. And there's a picture from the museum. We have documentation of all the events we have had. Today is event number 154 for XR Women. Wow.
Woo!
Yes, yes. And you can see all that talent represented in our museum, which Jenna Lambert has worked diligently to really make it something special. And we also have a gallery in the space that she is curating. And right now it features the work of artist Trish Giannakis. She will be up there for a quarter, and Jenna will be curating future shows in this space as well. So it's well worth a visit. You can pop into there anytime to have a look and learn a lot about the state of women in XR, things that women are doing in our space from seeing who has presented at our events. So please give it a try. Okay, now I am delighted to announce that XR Women has put together a very distinguished advisory board. And I see that actually as I look at my my computer, as I peek down under my Quest Pro here, I can see that Amy Lemire, who is one of our members, should be joining us soon. And I believe Laura Kusamoto is here as well. Laura, can you, if you're in your headset, can you wave your hand in the air or just say something? I believe you are here. Anyway, there are bios in the news section of our website, if you go there, and just some really amazing women. Laura, who has worked for Meta and Kaiser Permanente, in addition to a number of other large companies, and has an incredible business track record. Amy Lemire, who is the head of the WXR Fund, doing extremely important work there, and I believe she may have just arrived, which is awesome. Welcome, Amy. So glad to have you here. And Judith Okonkwo, who is just amazing. She has connections and influence all across the continent of Africa, and through VR AR Africa and through her Emisi 3D platform, her involvement with the World Economic Forum, and she is really doing incredible work. And Shelley Peterson, who has previously worked at Lockheed Martin and Microsoft and was an early pioneer in the space. So these women are going to help us really level up in 2024, and we are thrilled that they have agreed to serve on our advisory board. Did I hear somebody try to say something?
Karen, I am here. This is Laura.
Hi, Laura. I think I saw a little glowing ball just above your head.
Yeah, I'm on my Mac today, not in my headset, so using keystrokes,
Okay.
but really happy to be here. Super honored to be asked to be on the inaugural advisory board, and really looking forward to the growth of XR Women and bringing more women into the fold this year. So thank you so much, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, Laura. We're truly grateful to you. Yes. And Amy, is there anything you'd like to say? I believe she's here. Perhaps I'm wrong. Okay. All right then. I don't know if that was Amy, but we will move on. And if you get the chance, Amy, please speak up later. Okay. So I'm happy to announce that the fourth annual, can you believe it? XR Women Awards ceremony will take place at the Augmented World Expo in Long Beach, California, on June 19th, 2024. We are super excited about this. And you'll see some pictures here from last year's ceremony, which was also at AWE, and pictures of our award winners, Athena Demis for Trailblazer, Deirdre Lyons for Innovation, and Paige Danziger for Real World Impact. I believe maybe all three of them are here in the space today, which is very exciting. Yes, yes. And we love to honor women in our community and the work that they're doing. The nominations will open February 1st. So be thinking about who you want to nominate for these awards. Okay. The age of spatial computing is here. As you all know, pre-orders start for the Apple Vision Pro in just a couple of days, and delivery will start on February 2nd. And I can't wait. Not going to get one myself, at least not right away, but I really want to hear about it. And I noticed the other day when I was at the gym watching football that Apple is sponsoring the halftime show for the Super Bowl. So I suspect they're going to have something very cool to show us there. And related to that, Meta has just announced that this augments feature where you can place digital objects around your physical space in mixed reality using the pass-through, which is very interesting. One of their responses, I think, to the Vision Pro. And Saudi Arabia is now investing in Magic Leap to rival the Vision Pro. Sony also has a new headset that they are releasing in collaboration with Siemens. Interestingly, you'll see it on the bottom left there, and it's got a very interesting controller. And one of the things I love that I've seen about it is that it has a flip-up visor. That's really awesome. One last thing. So here in Engage, they just published yesterday or the day before this Kia Eco Island experience. And I went in last night, and it is so much fun. You can drive this electric car around the island. You can use the car to charge other items, such as a jet ski, and ride around on those. It's a lot of fun. And as you can see, I crashed my car. I'm not a very good driver in VR, though I am in real life, I promise. But check it out. Bring some friends. I'd love to go in there with you all and play. Okay. So let's talk about the state of VC funding for women-led companies in the U.S. This is information from Allison Byers of Scroobius, and she is quoting from an article that said that female founders ended 2023 on a strong note with the third highest amount of VC capital raised for female-founded or co-founded startups. But as Allison points out, there's a big problem with that. Female founded and co-founded are not the same thing. And also, if you look at the stats there, even the mixed co-founded companies only got 19.2% of VC funding, and solely female founded businesses only got 1.6%. It's shocking, absolutely shocking. And she asked the questions about the mixed co-founded teams. How many of them had a female CEO? Very good question. I'm sure some of you I know in the audience will appreciate that. But here's the thing, Allison is trying to do something about that. She was instrumental in getting California Senate Bill 54 passed, which requires demographic data on venture capital investments to be reported or disclosed to the Department of Civil Rights. She says that we have succeeded in taking a crucial step toward rectifying the inequity in venture funding by establishing accurate data collection and public availability to foster accountability and progress. Yay. Good for you. Thank you, Allison. Okay, and speaking of funding, XR Women need support. We do a lot of work to manage these events, to provide the resources we do, and we're actively seeking sponsors. If you know of any potential sponsors, if you yourself would like to sponsor, please get in touch with me or another member of our leadership team, again, indicated by the little crowns above our names, except for Nicole. She has one because she's our guest speaker today. But yes, we want to be able to sustain and grow what we're able to provide to the community. Okay, I'm going to go back in a moment, but next week we have Sheikah Duncan, also known as Joy Rain VR, and she is going to talk about building impactful community in the metaverse. I'm super excited to hear from her. I absolutely love her photo there, and I think she's going to have a really great story to tell, so really looking forward to that. Now, I believe I need to go back one slide. Oops, oh no, oh dear, that won't do. I do apologize. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. We just have one or two more things to share, but the main thing is our XR Women Business Showcase, our Spatial Computing Business Showcase on January 31st, 2 weeks from today. So next week we have Sheikah, and then we have the showcase, which is going to be a very special event. That is, wow, I thought I had, oh, who's sharing their screen? Is that you, Nicole? Okay, yeah. So anyway, we do hope to see you there. There are a number of businesses participating, and as soon as I can get to that slide, I will show you what they are. There's also a big slide on the back wall over there on our wall of fame. And there are going to be some wraparound events. This is one of the things that we are trying to do to address the, did it again. Oh my goodness. All right. I think that I am obviously experiencing some challenges here today, and I do apologize. Okay. So here we go. Back to the business showcase because it's very important and I don't want to skip this. So we have 9 participating businesses. And we are showcasing women-led businesses in an effort to, there we go, finally, to bring attention to what they're doing, to bring customers to them and potential investors. We're partnering with virtual reality marketing and the Metaverse Spectrum on this to bring more people to the event. And virtual reality marketing is organizing a keynote just before the showcase and a second day where there will be a spatial computing masterclass. So this is all taking place January 31st, and then the masterclass will be on February 1st. And Robin Mulder has been working on this to make it something truly special. It's going to be very exciting, unlike anything we've ever done before. Very different from what you're used to here, but really, really awesome. So please show up for that. I mentioned Shika. We're excited about her presentation. And then, you know what? I'm going to just skip over our other upcoming events and go right into Nicole because I think it's time. We need to move on. So, Nicole, actually, first, I'm going to ask Robin Mulder to come up to introduce Nicole, and I will stop sharing.
Hello, hello. So Nicole Lazzaro is the leading authority on emotion and player experience, a serial innovator, and designed the first iPhone game. With a Stanford psychology degree, Lazzaro is the first person to measure player emotions with facial expressions. She puts her expertise to work in designing award-winning XR experiences for enterprise as well as games at her company, XEO Design. Her emotion model, the 4 Keys of Fun, is used by millions of leading developers around the world. The 4 Keys is also baked into the AI for The Sims. It inspired IBM Emotion Analytics, and it laid the foundation for gamification. She is widely cited by global news media such as Upload, Wired, Rolling Stones, Fast Company, CNN, the list goes on. Her clients include Meta, Google, Ubisoft, EA, Disney, Trip, platforms and games, things you would really know: Myst, Horizon World, Star Wars, The Matrix. Her talk, There Are No Wimps in the Metaverse, is now featured on TED.com. Lazzaro is currently developing Follow the White Rabbit, hence why we have all the rabbits around, so be sure to go find those, a mind-bending XR adventure about a magician whose magic one day suddenly works. Welcome, Nicole Lazzaro. There she is, over there.
Wonderful. So great to be here. Thank you very much, Robin and Karen and the rest. I'm really touched. So let me share the screen here. Can we see that all right? Excellent. Well, as was said, I'm Nicole Lazzaro, and we're going to talk today about our journey with developing Follow the White Rabbit for XR, and our use of generative AI as one of the threads. But I thought it would be interesting to hear like kind of a little bit behind the scenes about where we've come and a little bit about where we're going. And so if you'd like to follow the White Rabbit, there's a URL. We'll have it up at the end as well. If that can sign up for updates about when we launch and those kinds of things. So let's get started here. All right, excellent. So as was said, I give a lot of keynote talks, everything from from here to TED to Mobile World Congress, and basically I've done a lot of work with emotion and games. So these are some of the companies that we have as professional clients in my consulting with Zeo Design. And then Zeo Play is my game design or game creation unit. And this is what we're doing to create Follow the White Rabbit. The idea is that everything is based on this emotion model, which is how do games, we observe people playing games moment to moment on their faces while they played. And we were the first people to do that. And this model then breaks down like how does an action create emotion? So it gives interaction designers, it gives game designers the same tools to create emotional responses that an artist might have with color or an actor might have with their body and voice. It led eventually, for better or worse, to what we call gamification today. So with Follow the White Rabbit, it's an XR mystery adventure you play in the real world with your real friends. And if we think about Wonderland, I mean, XR is Wonderland. We create Wonderland. And I grew up in Wonderland. I grew up overseas, riding camels, climbing pyramids, and exploring fire temples. as a kid, and I wanted to recreate that same full body wonder I had as a child. And so that's why we're creating Follow the White Rabbit. It's a series of escape rooms that happen around the world, where the magic is real. We started. We've been in development for a while. I've completely self-financed it so far, and we've done demos. Many of you have tried. How many have tried Follow the White Rabbit? Actually, if you can raise a hand or clap or something. Have people tried it? Okay, all right. And these are some of the the awards we've won. But this is a talk about AI and how we're using some of the latest tech to create a better experience. Again, we're a small team, so we're trying to leverage AI in every layer of the production process, keeping what's working, and then, of course, learning from what doesn't. And I want to share some of those lessons with you. Here's an example that I need to come up with. This is our first example here. Let's see. All right. So here is the pitch for Follow the White Rabbit.
Follow the White
And I think
Rabbit
you'll enjoy it.
mystery adventure
Can you hear
game
that?
play in your real room with your real friends. It's a game about a magician whose magic one day suddenly works and the rabbit disappears, wearing a priceless diamond bracelet, and so now everyone wants to follow the White Rabbit. We go around the world through a series of escape rooms, from a cafe in Paris to the
De Paris à Alexandrie, en passant par la Cité interdite et la grotte d'Aladin. 从巴黎的咖啡馆到亚历山大图书馆，甚至到紫禁城和阿拉丁的洞穴。Da un caffè a Parigi alla biblioteca di Alessandria fino alla città proibita e alla grotta di Aladino. Paris से Alexandria نشد شهر ألادين की गुफा. من مقهى في باريس إلى مكتبة الإسكندرية والمدينة المحرمة.
Can you follow the White Rabbit?
So cool.
Yeah, so that really blew us away. That's an example of something that is really, really working. And I think it's safe to say that I don't speak any of those languages. So, but it was pretty convincing. And if you think about the layers of AI here, there was, I recorded a Zoom call, so there was background, subtraction. There was a little bit of digital makeup because I'm lazy in that regard. And then there's also, so then they had to record the AI had to listen to the audio, decode that from speech to text, then take it from text to translate it into Hindi, right? So they translated the Hindi, and then they took that text into phonated Hindi, something that's expressed. They listened to the character of my voice, the way I talk, and then intonated that phonation in something that sounded like me, and then they animated the face. So you see that the lip sync was really good. The way that the jaw moved and everything, like, was very convincing that I was speaking those languages. Pretty incredible. This is done with HeyGen AI, and 1111, I think, is doing the localization. So pretty amazing stuff. On the other end of the spectrum, so that really works. On the other end of the spectrum, though, is this. I'm not going to name who they are. Hopefully, they've gotten better since my last visit, but. Pitch decks. This was a pitch deck auto creation platform, and so I asked it to create a pitch deck for me. And it was super inconsistent with they're just scraping the web for these images, right? That are just like clip art and bad clip art, and they're kind of getting some of the tropes about like what a good storyline might be, but it really felt like shovelware. So as we go into this more automated world where we're automating the production of media, we need to look at, when we do so, what is the quality, and is this achieving the objectives that we want? I would not be convinced of this pitch deck. I wouldn't want to represent my company this way at all. So that is look at those two extremes. Right. And so then, okay, cool. So with follow the White Rabbit, I apologize for some of the kerning is going to be off on a couple of these. We're taking it from a Paris cafe in Gear VR. So we were like very early. We started this adventure. through Magic Leap and Aladdin's Cave and mixed reality to now we're getting these AR real room escape rooms targeting the Apple Vision Pro. So hopefully luck will be with me and I will get one on Friday. We will see, see what the pre-orders do. And iOS mobile. So we want to be very broad in our, very accessible. So we want to also eventually put it out on iOS mobile. And we've been able to do that by using Unity, which has been an amazing partner because we've taken a lot of that Paris Cafe and then moved it from headset to headset to headset with the core game coming from that game engine. And because Unity would support each XR headset as it came out, we had this ability to transition as opposed to having to completely start over from zero. So then the third thing that we want to think about with AI is that we have to also look at fact distortion and bias. And I think everybody here in the room is very aware of some of the challenges. The original version of this talk I gave at a year ago at AWE and at GameSpeed is that it was called John Henry versus the AI Steam Drill. And so I put the, again, exploring AI and what it might do, I put this prompt, John Henry versus the Steam Drill, and this is what I got. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with American folklore, but John Henry was a powerful Black American icon who was he had this epic race between pile driving by hand with his hammer and then a steam drill by an industrialist. So instead of getting John Henry at all, I get the white industrialist making the steam drill, right? And notice his powerful poses, his wealth, and that sort of thing. Now, if whereas when I tried to correct it, say prompt powerful black man or black man in steam drill, this is what I got. And so what you can see now is that you have these two versions are very different economic classes. You can see their facial expressions are quite different. It's very disheartening. Imagine what happens if 90% of our textbooks are written by AI, and how they could how that could magnify the inequalities that most of us in this room are trying to erase. I was much more happy with this next image, which is powerful black man versus steam drill. This is what I want. This is, in my mind, who John Henry should be. And these images were all generated with Midjourney. The next concern about AI is we have this new role that AI is creating. The ability, in a sense, we're going from, with the web, we had the ability to create, to go from, basically it reduced the cost of distribution of media. If you think about YouTube, to zero, right? That's what the web did. E-commerce, the ability to connect with a customer, to zero. Now with this new role that AI, this new dawn, this new age of AI, what's happening is we're getting the cost of production. So instead of in addition to a distribution, now production of content is now driving to zero. So everybody in the world, really, we need to think about what are the KPIs we're going for. Because if you think about, the world's largest auto taxi company owns no cars, in this future, will the world's largest companies employ no people? And, OpenAI defined its AGI as a highly autonomous system that outperforms humans at most economically valuable work. And what does that do for the humans on this planet? It's something we really need to think about and talk about and think about and write our congressmen about or our elected officials about. So let's go ahead and get started with this journey. So when we started, this was a long time ago. This was in 2015. We started on Gear VR, and we created a. I had to actually write our own interaction thing because everything in the platform at the time was all based on first-person shooters. So we didn't really have this puzzle adventure mechanic at all. So I had to write my own controllers. And then this is this is a shot. So what we did was we created an escape room. So you stand in pretty much 3DOF. Gear VR was a 3DOF. You looked around, and then the clues came towards you. I have lovely videos for almost every slide here, but it was a bit too much to bring them into YouTube one at a time. But here, that could give you a sense of what that is. And you basically allowed you to discover clues, solve puzzles, unlock this escape room. The walls will move. The different things get projected in the room. It's all about this, magician whose magic one day suddenly works. So we start in Paris and we go to a number of different other locations. We then took that game mechanic from a full VR room around you to iOS with the idea to evolve it so that we could do crossplay. Because I've been a lot of cases where I wanted to play a game with my friend. I have a headset, but they don't. So I wanted to have the ability for my friends who have a mobile phone to be able to join me in the gameplay. And in this next stage, we looked at the player's real room and then also the feelings of solving a mystery. So at the time, this was my dream of maybe having a device from Apple I could strap on my face. This actually was, I did actually play the game this way a little bit. We did, in this phase, what we did was we created more of a card game. These are almost like tarot cards using Midjourney 3 to create these it has wonderful surrealistic quality. And so another tip I have for using generative AI is to lean into what that platform, what that AI is doing. So rather than trying to erase the third ear from the rabbit or, fix the hands or something like that, maybe I would fix the title there. I really wanted this in my box cover shot. I might have gotten rid of the UFO in the upper there, but we wanted to lean into that. We wanted to lean into that aesthetic. So here with Aladdin's Cave on the left, you can see it's like there's magic carpet and dunes and cave all kind of mushed together in a very interesting cognitive space. We are inspired, obviously, on the design side by magic, but also about surrealism. So the work of Magritte, there's the cognitive dissonance that his work does, and the rest of the surrealists do, make these images much more powerful. So we're leaning into that and especially with this version of Midjourney. I'll tell you a little bit later what happens when we upgrade to Midjourney 4 and 5. Here are some of the locations. So we go from London to Paris, to Istanbul, to the Library of Alexandria. Each of these worlds represented this way just inspire me to want to travel. They inspire me to go to where these locales are. So again, leaning into the surrealism to bring out that exoticness. And we were able to get a palette that worked across these images as well, which was very challenging and still is to a large extent with generative AI. You're good at creating one image, but can you create 500 and make that all feel like a world? These are all 2D images as well. We have a 3D game. What can we do to make that a little different, or make that work in 3D? So looking a little deeper into generative AI, we tested, as I said, every layer of the production process. And we looked at different for what that model had in terms of look and feel. They do vary. So it isn't just good enough that it could generate a rabbit, a white rabbit even. It needed to look like the rabbit, the rabbit that we saw last week, or the rabbit that has this certain personality. You need that control. And we will look a little bit at some of the productions. Then obviously, we're on the cusp of the release of the Vision Pro. I got invited to WWDC, and it was Muppet level excitement, which you see here in the photograph. And we are super excited. I've had the pleasure of going to 2 labs. So I've had a couple of days with the Vision Pro. And I won't be able to answer questions about that other than I can say I've tried it. But I'm very thankful that Apple has allowed me to spend a couple of days with it, improving our game and exploring all of the cool things that are possible with their new device, which hopefully everyone in the room will have a chance to experience soon. So as time goes on, so this was a little bit. This is Midjourney 5 versus 3. You can see that the prompts are coming up with a very different aesthetic. So a huge challenge for us with White Rabbit is, well, what do we do? I mean, it's become more realistic, which in general means more appealing. But we also then can lose, if we're not careful, it just looks photorealistic, and you can lose some of that surrealism, that cognitive dissonance, that feeling of curiosity that pulls you into the image. So here are 2 examples. They are on one hand photorealistic, which is surrealism is often that way. It looks realistic. It's not impressionism, which is very brushstrokey. So it does have that gloss. It could exist, but you can see that there are things that are impossible. There, especially the binoculars on the left. There are Escher-like qualities that you understand that it's a set of binoculars, but there's something different about what is the thing pointing up instead of pointing backward and on the top, and what is this extra lens piece, and the two binocular pieces don't actually match. So there's this interesting play which adds to interest, and then and in some cases puzzles, which is really great. Those are still 2D images. So the next thing we want to do is we want to take those into 3D. So there are some tools to do this. So on the left here, you can see the upper right is unfortunately we don't have the video, but you can see some of my other talks if you want to. This is a Midjourney 2D image, and then we fed it into a 3D depth map creator. So an AI interpreted that scene, and everything that's white in the lower left-hand side is coming towards you, and then everything that's dark is receding backward. And so you get that a depth kind of thing. And then inside Unity, there's Unity shader graph using the parallax occlusion maps. I go into a little bit more detail in some of my other talks. You can actually create that experience in Unity. So it would be as if like holding up my tablet here, it's a 2D image, right? But if you move it just a little bit left, a little bit right, there's a little bit of depth in it, a little bit more deep than a normal map or depth, on a PBR, kind of texture. It goes in and it comes out quite, you can adjust it. So Aladdin's Cave feels like you could almost walk into it. So it's not technically a 3D model, it's a 2.5D model, but very, very nice. And we're really looking forward to leveraging this more. Working great on iOS right now. And then, so that's, going to 2D to 2.5D. This is actually going into 2D to 3D. And it brought up some really interesting lessons, again, about AI and using it to generate something for a project. Again, everything needs to work together. We need to accomplish certain creative objectives for every piece of art in the game. On the left is a nice image with is a rabbit key. So there's a rabbit key on the left, and then a chess piece that's in the shape of a horse. Both generated 2D images with Midjourney, and then we should get this. There we go. And so now this is using CSM, Common Sense Media, Common Sense Machine, and you can see it is it took the 2D image and then created a 3D model, and so it had to interpret the backside to put a second face on it. So well, that's kind of surreal. I kind of like that. We lose a lot of the detail in the ears. You see that the veins and the leaf-like veins in the ears disappear, and some other stuff, not as detailed. But it is a nice interpretation. A little chunky for an in-game asset, but it's definitely getting there. And so that is, let's see. There we go. So that is adding detail that's missing. The second piece here is two things. First of all, there's no video because YouTube would not let me post the video, I guess because they think the image on the left, which is the one that's generated, looked too much like a naked person. I don't know. But, so I think an AI blocked us from posting this video. But essentially the chess piece on the right is a 2D image created by Midjourney. The image on the left is the 3D model. So what happened here? So what you can see is the AI recognized it as a horse, kind of a horse-like shape, and gave it the right color. And it is a very nice rendering of a horse. But then we lost all of the detail, the artistic detail I liked about the image on the right. So it basically, this is a psychology term, regression to the mean, which means you go towards the average. And no matter what kind of AI you're using, we found this also in text, which I'll talk about later, is that you go towards the average because that is, so if you put in a cup, you're going to go towards an average cup. because that's where all of the vector math is going to direct you into the ruts, into the trenches of what is most popular. I like to say it's sort of like it scrapes the tropes into an organized pile. So one thing you're going to have challenge with, one time we have challenge with, is pulling this out of the average, when we want to say something that's very special. So the one on the right, you may disagree, but I much prefer the one on the right than on the left, because I feel like it has more character. And I would love to animate all those little swirls, but at least a 3D model that represented that. There are, more inputs that are available now, and there's actually, the past week, there's even more stuff coming out. This I love. This is Blockade Labs. This is Marguerite's company, and she's the CEO. This is text to Skybox, but they also now have the sketching feature. So you can actually sketch out the rough blocking for your Skybox. And then you type in the prompt at the bottom, and you can pick your style, and you can get that whole Skybox that sort of matches your sketch. So what we're doing is we are adding, text to Skybox. So we're putting text in, we're getting art out. We can then also talk to the AI by doodling, and then get it to understand us and get art out. So it's multimodal outputs, which is, by definition, text to image, text to movie, text to 3D model is multimodal outputs. But now we also have AI that gives us multimodal inputs. So have a thought about that. That's really impressive. The Muse tool from Unity now is doing that, where you can actually they have text and doodle and stuff like that all the way down the left-hand side of their UI, and it's pretty amazing. And then another thing that we've got, there's probably more hits than misses in terms of like where we're at and like what we're finding helpful about AI in this talk. Photogrammetry is almost, is something, oh wow, that was a couple years ago. And yes, this was a couple years ago. I scanned this with an iPad using iOS, and this is a 1903 stereoscope. This is what I wanted to use in our game. So how can I get this real world item into as a 3D asset into the game? And let's take a look and see how that works. Yeah. So here you can see it's on this old steamer trunk that we have in the office. And I'm just amazed. You should be able to see the detail in the, there's actually really lovely etching on the device. And now that is the scan, and the real one now is on the left. And so we're using AI to do the original scan, which came from a bunch of photos, and it got composited into a 3D model. We're using another AI to position it, lock it in screen in the scene, in the world, using Reality Kit on iOS and my MacBook. But lovely things. And then that is actually, this is what you can see in the game. So this is a screenshot of it actually in the Vision OS simulator. So we actually have it up and running, where you can have it. It looks really nice. It looks really nice as a 3D asset. So another great, amazing use of AI. Stuff that we're really also researching is other modes. So we've talked about, what we see, and a little bit about spatial audio, what we hear, and but what we feel is also very important. And we're really into 3D haptics and what that means for interaction design. So if you imagine what can happen with high resolution haptics, like with the new Sony PS5 controller, the new Xbox controller that's coming out later this year. These high resolution haptics can give you the feeling of being really, really immersed. So this example is like, if you imagine a car, and everyone's seen those like flow lines, you could actually stick your hand into the image and feel the eddies of the air flowing over the model, and being able to interact with it and change the model and feel the making what's visible, you can feel it. This one technology we're using can do leather and zippers and concrete and steel, directional force, push, pull, all through just a vibration. It's pretty amazing stuff that can happen. So we definitely want to use that at some point in White Rabbit. So this is an example of the pocket watch puzzle that we have. So we have a lot of assembly puzzles and fun escape room stuff. But I'd like to end the talk just by showing you a little bit about our game. Here's a little snippet from our game.
Wow.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that there's we could do one more actually thing here. I forgot this was in here, but how many people have done a chat GPT bot? Anybody? This is one you can try. It's an interactive Sherlock bot. It's up in my LinkedIn, I think. It actually does text to adventures. So you can give it a prompt, a location, and it will create an illustrated choose your own adventure with options. Plus, you can do whatever you want to as well. Do something else, and it comes up with different illustrations. So there's something that's thinking about, like, what will this world of forever games happen? What are we going to do in these games where you could just literally have a game engine that runs in the cloud using AI to run it? So just to sum up, I think AI, what we found in Follow the White Rabbit, is that it's a great ideation partner. World capture and understanding, with photogrammetry, generating assets, especially visual assets. The cool things that are happening in AI with spatial audio, spatializing audio better, and also haptics, the three-dimensionality of both of those mediums. In the future, new game mechanics. If we can generate so many, assets, in quantity using generative AI, then there's new game mechanics we could never do possible. Like, I couldn't create White Rabbit with such a small team without generative AI. Mm-hmm. And so now I think there's going to be new game mechanics that larger teams will be able to do even with these generated AI. And then there could be text and voice-driven interaction experiences. And then, as I mentioned, these forever games like the ChatGPT Sherlock bot. So that is all. Please feel free. I hope we have some time for questions. Please feel free to sign up for our waitlist, which is at bit.ly/FWRLIST, and for Follow the White Rabbit list. And that's it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Nicole. Wow, so impressive, the work that you're doing. And it was nice to learn that you are working with the Apple Vision Pro. I can't wait to see what that turns out to be. And you were just making use of all the tools out there and really innovating to create this game. I have to say, I was one of the people who got to try the game on the Gear 360. I mean, not Gear 360, the Gear VR, way back in, I think, 2017. Yeah. Yep. I have a picture of that Gear VR. So this is really incredible. So thank you so much. I'm sure that some people in the audience will have some questions for you. So please unmute yourself and ask your questions. You can also use, there is a raise hand function. That dot?
I see someone. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to know, Nicole, of everything you were doing with the AI, what helped you grow the most creatively? What was your best creative challenge?
Well, I think the first one, I think the biggest creative challenge was looking at that, Midjourney version 3. And how could I use this? Because this was, over a year ago now, right? I think it was just 1 year and not 5 years ago. It feels like 5 years. And it was so long ago. But yeah, the biggest challenge for us was that because, one is like, how might I be able to use this tool? And then on one hand, we were suddenly able to create like pitch decks at a much higher quality than I could afford to before. And now remember, we don't have publisher money. We are just, I'm, paying myself very little and then taking all of my consulting funds and, putting it into White Rabbit. So suddenly I could, have better pitch decks, but then how could I create something that was consistent from, image to image to image? And so that was the biggest challenge. And for us, it was really, and for that, it was, I would think about each word that I put in as a prompt and how close it was to that, it was like prospecting for gold with the prompts, the text prompts. Could I hit a vein, a vein with that series of words? And if I could hit that vein, then I could generate lots and lots of images that would share some characteristics. And so that's like part of those prompts was like surrealism, I think, was one of the early terms we used, and we would get some consistent, things. The next one though is of course going from that version 3 to Midjourney 4 and 5, just a big change in the way it renders. We couldn't recapture that old look very well at all. And so we have to go with the new look, or a new look, evolve a new look. And then and then what will happen next year with 7 and 8, and as tools go further, will we, still be able to support it? So that was a fairly long-winded answer, but hopefully that was interesting.
Hey, thank you.
Uh-huh. There's a question over there.
Yeah. Hi, Allison Morano. We were talking earlier about the fact that I'm trying to take all of the experiences that I'm creating and then help others be able to make a kind of an adventure, no matter what the business they're doing or what the experience they're doing. So I love this because I think that being in any sort of XR environment, it needs to be interesting and prompt people to keep going and discover new things, no matter what the environment. Do you have any advice for where somebody would even start at point A to think about whatever they're going to create to lend this to the experience? And I was hoping you had some advice.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I can just share from my experience. Now we've been thinking about, I've been in games for about 30 years. So I've been thinking about it for a long time. The first thing I think, again, is to look at emotions. Like if you want to have an adventure, what's the difference between an adventure and a boring business meeting? What are those emotions? So create what we call an emotion profile. So just list it out. It can be similar to a marketing exercise. What are your key emotions for a marketing campaign? So what are those key emotions? And then in the second step is like what interactions, what settings what interactions, what things to do could create those emotions in the first list. And then so it's obviously settings and theme and topics, but also the interactions, and then go build that. And then one thing we found in the original research we did with the 4 keys is that emotions, I went into it thinking that emotions would be like popcorn. I have a bit of a filmmaking background as well, and they would just be pop, pop, pop. I'd get an emotion here and they were just like popcorn. But that's actually not how emotions worked. Or what we saw in the lab is that we saw that emotions were sequential. Some emotions, like Fiero, one of my favorites, is like, yes, the feeling I just won the Grand Prix. The arms punch the sky. you have to actually feel you have to feel so frustrated with the game that you were ready to throw the controller through the window. And if at that moment of frustration you win, then you go from feeling extremely frustrated to extremely jubilant. And as a game designer, we want to create that journey, that emotional journey. And so if you think about just this image here that we have up in front, I could talk a little bit just about that, is I wanted to, especially for this first location, this is the cafe where the white rabbit, where not only the rabbit, but the magician and his assistant, Manny, and his assistant, Ada, disappear as well. And if you look at the in-game, if you look at the teapot, for example, it just slowly, it's suspended in the air, forever spinning. And if you look at it, it spins. If you look away, it doesn't spin. And it's like, what is that? It creates curiosity and wonder. And then if you move over here to what we call the workbench on the left of the image, with the samovar, with the lightning coming out of it, and and then some tools that are kind of scary looking, not too scary because it's definitely family friendly. There's no violence in the game. Then there's this, then there's a little bit of fear, a little bit of and curiosity, like a mad scientist, kind of emotion. So you can see simply by rotating through the space, right, you're getting different emotions just by that design. It's not exactly narrative design, which is a word that's very common for writing story in games, narrative design. But it does have the similar or same results. Each location in this room tells a little bit about a different character in the game. And then because it's an escape room, things can happen it's a virtual escape room. Things can happen like walls move and, weird things happen that tweak your reality that you can't do, in a physical escape room. And so that creates that sense of wonder. So again, leveraging it's a big deal to put on this headset. It's a lot more expensive to make a virtual experience. So make it worth their while and do things that like we were doing things that this, each AI does well. We tried a lot that didn't work, right? But leverage what it does well and create an emotional response that you can't get otherwise. There's a recent interview of me in a couple quotes in Upload on Lessons of Magic by Laura Mingale is the author, and lessons from magicians to improve mixed reality experiences. I recommend people checking that out as well.
Thank
Great
you.
question.
Super cool.
Thank you.
I am sorry to interrupt. Unfortunately, I personally have to go to a meeting. I want to hear more. Nicole, as long as you are willing and able to stay around, and if
Sure.
one of our hosts are here, everyone else can stay and you all continue talking. Wish I could hear it, but again, thank you. This was such a fascinating talk. I think everyone here learned a lot, and we're very grateful to you. So I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Karen.
you don't have to leave. So, yeah. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Would you
hello.
mind sharing?
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing again the URL for the chat bot?
Oh, sure. Yes.